Hello everybody, my name is ProfPixel here once again on Mad Men with the Box for Doctor Who Redacted. We are on episode 9. It's been a long journey and there's only one episode left. If you aren't aware of what Doctor Who Redacted is, well, you're missing out. It's an audio drama podcast produced by BBC Sounds. And it's been quite a journey thus far. The theme here is the end of the world. That's in the synopsis, so it's not too much of a spoiler, I suppose, unless you haven't been listening at all. As always, I'm going to go ahead and give you my initial thoughts without diving into the pool that is the spoilers that I will be going into soon. But with this episode, it definitely has its weight. We recognize that the end is near, and not just for the world, for the series itself. These characters don't have long, and the world around them seems to be falling apart. It makes us wonder where it will all end. I am going to go ahead and say I really like this episode. There's a lot to like, but I don't know how I feel about the ending thus far, though, other than I know that I'll be kind of sad when I won't be able to listen to this every week. That being said, initial brief take before digging into what actually happens. You've been warned of this before if you've watched the other videos. Spoilers. I can do a deep dive, recap it all. So if you don't want that, then you should just go ahead and click off of the video. If you do want that, well, then I'm right here for you. But I wanted to make sure that you knew the spoilers were coming. So, if you want to go listen to it first, go ahead, but make sure to come on back because I'm going to be able to give fuller thoughts on everything once we actually get into it. So, like the past few episodes, this one begins where last episode ends. Vastra has revealed herself to Cleo and Shauna and says, "Come to me if you want to leave." And thus they do. They go out the window with her, and there's a ladder right there. She was worried. Cleo's worried that she'll have to jump. But you know who does jump? Vastra. Mm-hmm. It's pretty chaotic here at the beginning. The world itself seems to be surrounded by these ghost-like figures. And, well, they're kind of scrambling because of it. Because if one of them touches you, you too get redacted. So, as they're running, there's a call suddenly coming in. And quickly, Cleo picks it up. And it's Abby. We didn't get to hear from Abby at all in the last episode, which, again, was to the benefit of that episode, but I'm glad to hear from her again. But she's calling from unit headquarters. And there's a lot of activity around because, like around them, the world is populated with ghosts and they are trying to move out. But Abby wanted to go ahead and call the girls to give them warning of the information that, well, they already knew because we've been following them, obviously, and we've kind of gotten sidetracked from Abby. Cleo goes ahead and tries to tell Abby about them finding her mom. Well, redacted. But Abby isn't really able to listen because she's being barked at by Eunuch in the background telling them, "We gotta move out, we gotta go, it's time for war!" And that's when the phone cuts off. And Cleo looks at her phone. Well, even though she's pretty much asked for Abby's help, and Shauna says, well, that's their answer. And thus, they have to go ahead, move, and Cleo says she knows a safe place to talk, which is actually Jordan's flat. So, they go there, go ahead and share some information, learn more from Vastra. She explains that she's Silurian, that's why she's all green. But she also is able to shine some light on the situation regarding the ghosts. They're just people existing the best they can. They aren't dead, They're trapped between two planes of existence. That they are the lost. Which, I guess, that's better than dead, right? And during this, Cleo keeps getting calls, but it's not from Abby. There's actually a moment in here where they suspect that a call could be from Abby. Shauna says just block her. But it's just messages. Like an old one from Jordan, or one for someone else. And they go ahead, and Cleo realizes, my whole family's gone. Vastra says that she is sorry, but all of her family has succumbed to the same affliction as pretty much everyone else. And Cleo wants to know, what can they do? And Vastra says, nothing yet. But that's when the ghosts take a moment and they are stopping. While they were moving around frantically as blurs before, now they are looking up at them in the flat. And Vastra says that they need to run. So the two separate. And Cleo and Shauna, they go down. They're on the main road trying to avoid the ghosts. But the ghosts are touching people all around. They're trying to reach them. And Cleo and Shauna think that it might be the end. And that's when Unit comes on the scene. And they are throwing things around. The ghost seems not to be completely getting out of the way. But they seem to have the situation under control, that Cleo and Shauna are now not thinking they're going to, disappear. But quickly, through the megaphone, Abby is able to announce that, Cleo, Shauna, it's me. As there are some of the few people left. I guess they're easy to see. And as Unit is going around, Abby runs quickly to Cleo and Shauna as they're trying to figure out where to go. And that's when we hear, what's that? In the sewer. It's Vastra. She managed to escape. She tells the girls to follow along quickly. They do come down, and they are walking along to her secret base of operations. Abby's kind of happy that she learned that lizard people do exist. They did an episode of that on the podcast. Vastra then leads them down, and this actually gives them some time to talk. Because, obviously, Cleo, Abby, and Shauna, they've been separated since Abby went to work with Unit to uncover about the ghosts. Figure out what exactly is going on that people keep disappearing from existence. We learned that Osgood apparently has disappeared as well. Abby does apologize for leaving the girls. But the girls explain that they're hurt. They're hurt. And Shauna says she doesn't know if she can trust her again. If you've been following along, and I don't mean to get sidetracked, if you've been following along, you know how I feel about how Shauna feels about Abby. And especially Unit. While Vastra does say something to Abby about how they dealt with her people before, they are disparaging a lot when it comes to Unit's usefulness in the past. They jumped to an assumption without thinking it through. Didn't even consider it. And while Abby could have studied more to figure out the exact details of why Cleo was upset and the information that was there, it's the end of the world. There's a lot to unpack. So, it's somewhat understandable. But getting back to it, the girls, they are reunited for the moment. And Vastra explains that what they can do to help is consult her oracle. She has an oracle that is able to have an existence that's allowed them a knowledge of both time and space. Vastra says that the matter they're facing isn't really a physical one. It's all just a matter of time. And they're able to enter Vastra's base. Quickly, we do get to learn about Vastra's late wife, Jenny. Seems that she's been gone for some time now. And that's sad to learn, but it also implies that since the 1800s, Vastra's been around. It makes me wonder what state is she in? Are we listening to Old Lady Vastra? Is that a new spin-off that can be made? But it doesn't matter. I'm just happy to have her back. But that is sad to learn about Jenny. I suppose it makes sense. But now we know the lifespan of a Silurian. So in Vastra's makeshift home, she's able to introduce them to an oracle. And, if you've been listening, you know that the ongoing gag, I don't think it's a gag, Cleo says that out of all the things she wants to see, is it an alien fetus in a jar? That's all she wants to see. And she gets to. We are introduced to a new creature that is able to communicate telepathically. It explains that his kind are a race that are able to exist outside of the physical realm. That they live between dimensions, and Vastra actually just calls him Floater. Hi, Floater. Quite curious. Floater explains that his people don't have a name for their kind at all because they communicate telepathically. They only have a sense of self and a sense of other. They have no need for names. Floater is able to explain that because his race exists in the psychic realm, they have been watching humankind for millennia. And the way they've evolved, how they've risen, and their descent. And that they can cross the veil between worlds. But you know who can't? Humans. And that seems to be what is happening. That somehow people are being affected like it's a disease, being pulled into a psychic realm. And how they're going to be able to solve this is to find the doctor. And, of course, they ask who, and Cleo says, oh my gosh, we've been over this. The doctor, blue box, all this. And how her ship, called the TARDIS, that's where you can find him. But what's curious is that Floater explains that the doctor did this somehow, that they have made an error, and the doctor has unraveled reality itself. If it's left in this state, it will totally wreck the universe. Vastra goes on to explain how these three, the reason why our characters are involved is because they're going to be the ones to stop it. And it's mostly because Vastra explains that because she's lived so long, it's kept her from being redacted herself. But she doesn't have long left, so it'll come down to the three of them. And the only way to deal with this is to, well, deal with the doctor. Floater is saying that the doctor is the cause of this chaos, and the only way to deal with it is to remove the doctor. And Abby and Shauna are clearly upset at the idea of having to kill the doctor. And Cleo, actually, she's done. So done. She says, let's go ahead and just go, girls. But Abby and Shauna just keep going on. We can't just murder someone. You think that we can do this? Are you kidding me? And Cleo keeps talking, saying, girls, let's just go. And that's when the girls seem to somewhat fade. And Cleo's starting to get worried. she's not feeling good. And as the world around her is starting to go as well, she realized what's happening. She's being redacted. The last words we hear from Cleo are that she's gone. It's quite chilling, in fact. Somehow we've gone from Cleo being our main character to being killed off before the last episode. We also now hear that the doctor's supposed to die. They're supposed to kill the doctor. Obviously, they won't. But going into that mindset, I'm really perplexed about how we could end this. While it does have a good haunting feeling at the end there, where do we go from here? Are we just going to follow Abby and Shauna as they ultimately accept, okay, we're going to find the doctor? I don't think so. If Cleo's gone and she's the person that we center around, she is our eyes into this window that we're peeking into. How can we go anywhere? And only one more episode. I don't know how we're going to deal with this unless is it like extra special long? I don't think so. I think it's going to stick to the same schedule of just about 20 minutes. I'm confused, but I'm also really intrigued. Next week is our end, ultimately. So we'll have to decide if it's good then or if it's not. But thus far, the series has been great. I've said this before, and while I've had comments that try to say the contrary, I don't agree. I stick to my statement. This is some of the best Doctor Who we've had in years. I'm going to keep saying it. Probably. Well, I guess next week will be the end, but I'll say it after that too. It's been an enjoyable ride, and I'm ready to see where this train ends. But that's about it for me. I've explained everything. I don't know how much further I can go. Please, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I want to hear your thoughts down there. I've barely gotten any. It's very disappointing. But if you're enjoying the show just as much as me, tell me why. And if you're not, go ahead and tell me why as well. But please make sure to have a well-thought-out argument if you do not like this show. I don't want just, this isn't Doctor Who. Also, make sure to check out other things on the channel. We have a lot here on Mad Men with the Box, and we hope that you enjoy most of it. So, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Geronimo, Alonzi, goodbye.